The Power of Classical Music, Its Impact on the Mind, the Body, and Society. Brought to you by Henry Hoang and Santiago Morris.
What is classical music? Classical music, a timeless genre abounding to intricate melodies and harmonies, has been celebrated not only for its artistic perfection but also for its profound impact on our mental and physical states. Many studies have highlighted classical music and composition benefits, such as enhancing mood, reducing stress, and improving cognitive function. This genre uses intricate melodies to capture our mind and senses and is also a tool for emotional regulation and mental clarity. It is impossible to deny the vital impact that this genre of music can provide in our everyday lives.
Origins. Because people in the middle class didn't have as many privileges as nobility class aristocrats, they resorted to different forms of music, classical music. It made a huge growth in the 18th century middle class as they had increased income. They learned about the art of music, and some even got to play instruments. Even if the middle class wasn't as complex or sophisticated as the nobility class, it gave them insight into what they sought in music. It inspired composers to make music specifically catered to the middle class.
Neurological and mental health benefits. Classical music has various benefits for both the brain and the body, including improving intellectual performance, reducing stress, and strengthening memory and aiding sleep. Studies like Dr. Gordon Shaw's 1993 research on the Mozart effect suggest that listening to classical music can improve mood and cognitive function, including key abilities like attention and memory, learning, perception, and language, and even help with memory by increasing dopamine levels. Classical compositions also lower cortisol levels, helping maintain healthy blood pressure, reducing anxiety, and aiding sleep by calming and relaxing the nervous system. Furthermore, listening to classical music has been shown to support brain health by preventing conditions that come with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's by increasing the activity of genes.
Effects on the heart rate, blood pressure, and mood. A study investigated the effects of classical music on the heart rate, blood pressure, and mood states in different individuals when listening to two pieces of music by Beethoven: Symphony of Fate, a fast piece, and Moonlight Sonata, a slower piece. The goal was to determine whether classical music would help manage anxiety and depression, both of which can have negative impacts on our health. 100 individuals were tested and had their heart rate and blood pressure recorded, and afterward, they listened to Beethoven's Symphony of Fate, followed by a mood survey and a blood pressure measurement. After a short break, participants listened to Moonlight Sonata, a slower piece with similar heart rate and blood pressure measurements, and another mood survey. While listening to the Symphony of Fate, heart rate increased by 7.3 beats per minute on average, and blood pressure decreased by about 1.5 millimeters of mercury on average. Most of these participants, 83%, reported positive emotions from listening to these two pieces, and almost all said that these two pieces can help manage stress. This study proves an effect of classical music on heart rate and blood pressure and demonstrates how this genre of music can be incorporated into therapy. However, this study also highlights the varying effects of classical music on heart rate and blood pressure, with quick and stormy pieces increasing physiological activity, while calm and slow pieces promote relaxation and lower stress levels.
Brain power and cognitive function. The Mozart effect is an effect of listening to classical music. This phenomenon has limited evidence of increasing IQ, but there have been proofs of warming up the parts of the brain that specialize in abstract thought. Just 30 minutes a day has been shown to improve memory, learning ability, and dopamine secretion, a neurotransmitter that makes you happy. It also has been shown to improve reasoning and lower blood pressure. Studies show that listening to classical music helps reduce stress and anxiety while also improving sleeping patterns and time. The human brain has a natural response where certain sounds cause an effect. In pop music, this sound is not present, so there would be no major effect. On the other hand, classical music has a thing called tonal harmony, which involves organizing music around a key note, and it invokes a feel good feeling in the body.
The Mozart effect and cognitive benefits. After conducting research where participants listened to Mozart's sonata from two pianos, participants showed better spatial reasoning and scored higher IQ scores by about 8 or 9 points. However, the effect did not stay past 10 to 15 minutes. Many other tests agreed that Mozart's Sonata K448 demonstrated a small increase in spatial reasoning skills. A test was even conducted with the most unlikely participants, rats. One group of rats was exposed to Mozart's piano sonata, another to Philip Glass's music, and others just to plain white noise. Then the rats were tested on their ability to navigate a maze. The rats exposed to Mozart's music completed the maze significantly quicker and with fewer errors than the other group, proving that the Mozart effect was not just simply based on enjoyment. Other research has provided information that listening to classical music, or just music in general, activates various areas of the brain. Techniques such as positron emission tomography, an imaging technique used to visualize metabolic activity in the body, have shown that many parts of the brain perceive music and other aspects such as pitch or rhythm. Experts also figured out that the exposure to music provides electrical discharge patterns, showing a clear effect on the brain as an effect of music. Some neurological studies found that after listening to Mozart's Sonata K448, patients with epilepsy reported a significant decrease in seizures after listening to it. However, even though many of the changes were evident, there is limited evidence and effects to prove a definitive effect on the brain based on classical music.
Physiological effects. Many studies have repeatedly shown that listening to classical music often produces dopamine, which is responsible for attention and control. Many studies also have proven that classical music can reduce cortisol, which is the culprit behind stress. 180 patients were exposed to classical music and their cortisol levels decreased along with their heart rates and blood pressures. Many similar studies have also shown decreases in heart rate, blood pressure, and cortisol levels when exposed to classical music.
Contrast between other music genres. A study showed the contrast between the effects of classical music and heavy metal music on the brain and cardiovascular system. Participants listened to Mozart's Sonata for two pianos and Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark. Heart rates, blood pressure, and EEG signals, or electrical signals produced by the brain, were all recorded before, during, and after the study. The results demonstrated that classical music decreased both heart rate and blood pressure, and showed a rise in electrical activity in the brain, which indicates relaxation and comes with cognitive benefits. On the other hand, listening to heavy metal music increases heart rate and blood pressure while increasing theta activity, which has to do with memories, learning, and emotions, which is associated with increased stress responses. Heavy metal music also showed a decrease in SMR, alpha, and beta EEG bands, indicating agitation and stress. These studies strongly demonstrate the psychological and neurological benefits of classical music in contrast to heavy music. So what this means is that the effects on of classical music on the mind and the body can differ from the effects of heavy metal music on the mind and the body.
Emotional power of classical music. Classical music has deep dynamic ranges going from a faint pianissimo to a rumbling fortissimo. Ongoing pianissimo makes us feel calm, but a quick spike to mezzo forte or forte can make us feel uneasy. For example, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony has violent dynamic jolts that cause a hectic atmosphere. Instruments like the violin or piano can easily portray feelings of romance and sorrow, while percussion elements like a bass drum can build tension and excitement. The music resonates with you, making it so you feel what you're hearing. Each note is carefully woven together by each composer to emphasize the impact on the listener. The intricate design of this genre of music allows it to evoke deep emotions and immerse the listeners in a rich tapestry of sound.
Modern music and structural impact. Classical music has had an enormous effect on modern music from genres ranging from heavy metal all the way to hip hop. An important aspect that carried over was the use of a variety of instruments that can play complex emotions and sounds. It also introduced the hook, or the catchy melody, which was developed during the Baroque period. This also brought in the use of dynamics or volume changes to enhance the music. You can also tell the classical music melodies in hit songs such as Bohemian Rhapsody and We Will Rock You, both by Queen. Some questions and answers. Question number 1. Are you saying that listening to classical music will magically make us smart? And the answer is no. While classical music doesn't magically make you smarter, many studies such as the Mozart effect suggest that it improves focus and stimulates parts of the brain associated with learning and problem solving. A second question is, how can schools incorporate classical music into their classrooms? The answer is schools can play classical music during study sessions or just everyday activities. This will improve focus and create a calm and learning environment. The third question, how can classical music be integrated into healthcare? The answer, hospitals can play classical music in patient rooms and waiting areas to ease anxiety and improve the state of mind. It can be used in hospitals to help manage pain, improve mood, and provide comfort to patients struggling with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. One last question is, how exactly does classical music enhance cognitive function? The answer is, classical compositions can help stimulate or activate parts of the brain associated with memory, focus, and problem solving. Many studies have shown that listening to classical music activates neural pathways, aiding in learning and critical thinking.
Importance. By understanding the significant impacts that classical music has on the mind, body, and society, we can use this knowledge to improve the well being of many. Incorporating classical music in education can help enhance focus and activate parts of the brain to enhance learning. Furthermore, integrating classical music into therapy, classrooms, and healthcare can reduce stress, maintain mental health, strengthen cognitive ability, and treat anxiety and depression. Hospitals could implement classical music as an essential part of their treatment to help patients manage pain and aid comfort those who are suffering from Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. With an amplified knowledge of the effects of classical music, we can promote its widespread to use to improve healing, learning, and benefits for all people.